Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another special episode of the No Cap podcast. Today we have uh, the wonderful Doctor. You know, before I say anything, it's so difficult for me to say anything nice about this person.
Praise me.
But yeah, our guest today, she's a YouTuber, she's a model, she's a doctor, the wonderful Doctor Julita Kitwe Mbangula. Welcome to the No Care podcast.
Thank you. I expect more praises. We're so privileged to be breathing the same air, the whole thing. But okay, fine, whatever. I'll stick with this. It's fine.
You'll settle for the little.
I'll settle. Yeah, I'll settle. Just for
Cool.
now.
Yeah. Thank you very much, honestly, for making the time to be on the podcast.
problem.
We wanted you to come on the podcast because I personally feel the work you've been doing lately is very meaningful and you're making a difference in the community. But before we get into all of that, we just want to know a brief introduction. Who is Dr. Julita Kitwe? Where are you from? Where did you go to high school? And where did you attend your university?
Okay, so yeah, my name is Julita. I am 27. I'm sure girls are not allowed to say their age or whatever, but I'm 27 years old. I'm actually from the north. I'm from Okatana village to be specific. And that's where, the north is where I did my primary school. So at Charles Anderson Primary School in Ogodiva.
Okay.
And then thereafter I went to Etosha High School in Tsumeb.
Okay.
I did my grade 8 to 12 there. And then I did 6 years of medical school here in Windhoek at UNAM, School of Medicine. And then I went to do my internship back in Oshakati for 2 years. 2 years plus.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that you were at the School of Medicine here for 6 years.
Yeah.
How was that? I mean, a lot of people have this perception that doing medicine is very difficult. You're not going to be able to cope. I mean, the requirements alone are already hard. Only a selected few people get in. So how was that when you got into School of Medicine? How did you cope and how were you handling it?
The ghetto, the trenches, the pits. Oh my God. School of Medicine is difficult. The perception is actually correct. It's very hard. It's strenuous. And, the kids that are accepted at School of Medicine, these are the top of the top of the different regions. And these are kids that are really, really smart. So then it just boils down to it's not just being academically inclined that helps you survive through medical school. It is everything else because life doesn't stop. Everything happens to you and you're in medical school for 6 years. Around your 4th year, you already start comparing yourself with your peers because everybody else that you went to high school with now is graduating, getting a job, and you're still trying to memorize the Krebs cycle, and you're answering to your superiors. It's strenuous. It's a long process. It's hard. It's difficult. It's everything. It's everything that everybody says it is.
Okay.
It's very, very hard.
Okay, this is where it's interesting. So you are first of all, when do you start doing modeling? Let's start there. Because I'm trying to see how it fits in as while you're in high school. Were you one of those Miss Etosha type of girl?
Yeah, like a gal.
Okay. So you start modeling in high school.
No. I started actually before I think it was in primary school. My earliest memory of modeling, we first were living in Ongwediva before we moved to the village, and my neighbor used to hold.
You have a village here?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. so she used to hold this this tap competitions behind her house, and then you get a little paper sash and everything. So that's my earliest memory, at the age of, I don't know, maybe 8, 9.
Yeah.
That's when I really started with the whole pageant thing. And then throughout primary school, I would model at school. High school, not so much because I was trying to focus. I really wanted to get into medical school.
Okay.
So anything else that was not academic, I really didn't participate in, or culture in terms of choir, debate, arts, acting. Those are the kind of things I was leaning more towards than modeling. And then,
sorry to jump in there. That's actually, again, very interesting that you mentioned when you were in high school, you were so focused that you wanted to get into medical school.
Yeah.
Because I know a lot of learners when they're in high school, that's something they struggle with to choose what they want to do after high school. So what you're saying is when you're in high school, you already knew
I knew.
wanted to be a doctor.
I knew what I wanted to do already, and not even in high school. I knew already by primary school. Yeah, because my mom's a nurse, and I've just always been inspired, whatever. And my whole thing was, if I don't get to medical school, I will take a gap year, and then I'll wait until I get into med school. That's how determined I was with like the whole thing. So I knew already from the beginning what I wanted. So I also knew how difficult it was to get into med school, and you had to have like really good points in order to get there.
So now you're in med school, and now you're a model, or you've have this love for modeling. How did you juggle between med school and your modeling career or profession?
I'm going to get in trouble, but so first year of medical school, I did miss UNAM School of Medicine, and I was the first runner-up. So that wasn't really strenuous. It was just like a random day. We went to wherever we modeled, we got placed. No responsibilities were required of me. The next time I participated in the pageant was Miss Namibia, 2019.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Yeah, yeah, I know you want to get there, but like, don't play with me. So that was 2019. I also placed as the first runner-up, and around that time was when there was serious obligations and responsibilities expected from me in school and at the pageant. So I had to navigate my way around everything properly. And then again, when I finished my first year of internship, I did Miss Africa, and I had to take time off from the hospital to go and participate. And then finally, when I did Miss Supra, I really had to just pause everything, put my life on hold for like 4 months, and just focus on the pageant before returning back.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
But since we've moved into the subject of modeling and beauty pageant and whatever, I feel like a lot of us, especially men, don't really understand what it means to be a model, what goes into the pageants, beauty pageants per se. How do we, I don't know how to phrase this question. Like, for starters, like I was doing deep diving yesterday, doing some research, trying to find out a lot more about modeling and whatnot, because I'm one of those people. And to my surprise, there are actually a lot of pageants like in Namibia, where you have like Miss Teen Namibia, Miss Earth Namibia, Miss World Namibia, Miss Universe Namibia,
Miss International.
Miss International. Yeah. Like, for instance, what's the difference between Miss Universe Namibia and Miss World?
Okay, so the difference is usually it's the international competitions, right? So every country needs to select a candidate that is going to represent that country at the different, the different competitions. And the competitions are different. Miss Universe is more lavish, sexy, just the legs, and just it's about being confident and beautiful, and you need to sell an image. Miss World is more of like a real charity pageant. You must have that's where like the phrase beauty with a purpose comes from. It really comes from Miss World, because you must have a project, you must push for it, you must it's a whole thing with Miss World. So, and also I think Miss World was one of the the first pageant, and then Miss Universe after, I stand corrected. But yeah, every different pageant has its mottos and its objectives, so it's not just all the same. Yeah.
All right. So is there actually money in this pageants? Like, is there money to be made, or does the money come later, like let's say in a form of some sort of sponsorship? Like let's say the prize money that you get is like a significant amount where you can say, geez, man, I can put my deposit on my Volkswagen Polo, or on a house, as an example, or is it just? I mean, is it just for show? I mean, it's all the glamour on TV and whatnot, or is it actually money that you guys make from these pages?
Okay, so it also just depends on the organization nationally. I can give you a really good example. For example, like when we went to Poland for Miss Supra, right? You get these countries that are like well funded, and they're like backed up by banks, or the government backs up the candidates. So countries like Indonesia, the Philippines, India, this just well funded pageants. So when the girl arrives, she has like 10 suitcases, and like it's an outfit, everything, you can tell that, the candidate comes from money.
Okay.
And then you get countries like Namibia where you go and it's basically you and your two bags trying to fight for an international crown. And it's quite hilarious. But it depends on the pageant and the pageant sponsors and who exactly is backing up the pageant. Because, I mean, if you don't have good sponsors, you cannot get the money that you think you're going to get. And, you know, pageantry is quite expensive and it's difficult to approach sponsors and say, okay, we want you to sponsor the national costume or the flight for this candidate to go. Yeah. And especially in Namibia, people are not willing to sponsor, especially if they see that the candidates don't do anything for the community.
Okay.
That's important. And I wouldn't either, to be honest. Like, I'm not going to take dig in my pocket to give you money as a company or as whatever if I realize that the candidate does not, they don't have a project. They're just sitting with the title at home. I'm not going to do it either. So it basically just depends. And if you have good sponsors, you know, people that are really willing to back you up, you know, you're set. Like, you get good money.
Yeah, cool. Again, what does it really take? A lot of us assume that modeling is easy. Again, I'll go back to being the guys that we are as men. We just think, she's just on the runway and she's just walking and smiling. It's that simple. But I had to, as I was watching a lot of the pageants that you took part in yesterday, I saw like there's actually a lot of work and a lot of brains that are required. I mean, especially when it comes to asking of questions. Like, it doesn't look as simple as we think it is. And you know, like I've noticed how, let's say when there's a few girls that have to come in front and then they have to answer questions or whatever, and then the rest of you are at the back, you constantly have to keep a smile on your face. Like, isn't that like so difficult?
It's so hard.
Like non-stop just smiling there.
There's a trick actually. You just put like Vaseline on your lips, on your teeth. So when you put Vaseline on your teeth, even when you smile, your teeth they don't dry out. So then you're able to like maintain a smile. Like, but it's so hard. It's difficult. There's a lot that goes into preparation.
Okay, we have to start putting Vaseline on.
Yeah. On your teeth.
Yes.
On the teeth, on the teeth, and then like you keep. You just chow it, digest it. It's fine.
You have swallowed.
You swallowed,
Vaseline a few
of course,
times in your
of
life.
course.
Okay.
It's a little sacrifice,
Right, cool.
but it's a lot that goes in. First of all, you have to be in shape. You know we're moving away from the standardized tall, blonde, sexy, long legs kind of definition of a model to now just be healthy. You know, as long as you feel good, you then exude confidence. You know, there's a lot of working out physically that you have to do. Mentally, you have to prepare yourself because it's quite strenuous, the working hours of having to walk down a ramp in heels. It's painful. I've had blisters, like, and you have to go through a routine over and over again. And also the show is going to be like that routine is like three minutes, but everything has to be perfect. And then you have to work on your public speaking skills. You really need to be able to portray whatever it is that you want to say to the public because you're going to have interviews, 2 or 3 interviews to select the final candidate. And then there's the financial aspect of things, you know, your outfits. I personally cannot just step out of the house looking like
me.
You. I can't. I have to look a certain way. I have to look like I'm well groomed. I take care of myself. You know, that also has like a financial burden on you.
I mean, you said you're coming from work as soon as you came here, and I'm like, what kind of a doctor dresses like this to work?
Yes, I'm just dressed like what?
As a patient, if I see my doctor looking like this, I'll be concerned.
Were you concerned about what?
Like
what?
I feel like you doctor, you care more about how you look than actually saving my life. Yeah.
Not even. Okay. I mean, sometimes I get that because even in the hospital, I realize that I sometimes have to earn people's respect, especially like amongst the nurses. They sort of they want to see that, this girl, whatever, Miss Namibia, Miss Supra girl, what does she really know, you know? And then it's like, they see me do my work. Like, I will work like a dog. Like, it doesn't matter. I know my work. I work really, really hard. And if you're not willing to help me put up an IV line, I'll do it myself. If you don't, you know. And after seeing that, then they're like, doctor, can we help you do this? Oh, doctor, what are you looking for?
So
that kind of stuff.
And their respect.
Yeah, and then you have to earn their respect in a way. But, like, I don't mind. Like, I will work. You know, if I look like this and you fall down, you know, I'm still going to resuscitate you. Like, depends, yeah.
Okay. So what's the difference between as the world is evolving and things like Instagram have become part of our life, there's this concept of people who are Instagram models. Like what's the
Okay.
difference between your fashion models, the ones that wear the
Clothes.
designer brands and clothes and whatnot, and then they walk, and then the pageant models and the Instagram models.
It's different. It's just so different. Instagram models are they're more digital.
Okay.
It's just more about the content that they're creating and putting it out there on their platforms.
Right.
So more like editorial staged kind of thing. And then the fashion models, I think they also kind of go through a bit because, they have to like walk these runways and they have to fit in all of these clothes and they have to be selected and they have to be scouted. Like it's a whole thing. That's a completely different ballgame. And with pageant queens, it's more about your community work and your project and what you're willing to do in the community. I think for me that's like the core thing. Like you look the part, you must have a certain kind of advantage physically, to be a pageant queen. But the most important thing is like the community work that you do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you think though, like with your experience that you have in the industry, is being a model like a sustainable career that one can pursue in Namibia? So like let's say the youth out there that are watching this and your thousands of followers on Instagram, would you advise someone to like who's passionate about modeling to pursue it as a career for like a lifespan the same way you would be a full-time doctor, just that if you were not a model as well?
Not really. Not in Namibia. Okay, because I don't think we don't have the capacity to cater for that in the country. One, two, for me, modeling and being a pageant queen, this is like something that I do because I'm passionate about, but I have a degree, like I have a degree to back me up and, that's my livelihood. But a good friend of mine, Jana Swartboy, we did Miss Namibia 2019 together. She's a model. She's like a fashion model. And she had to venture to, South Africa, to Paris to pursue her dreams. You can go that route, but it's requiring a lot of dedication. So I would advise, go to school, get your degree, get work, and then if this is a modeling thing that you are trying to do, then you have something to sort of fund you as you pursue whatever dream you have.
All right, but then you have models like Miriam Kahogwena, and I'm making an assumption here.
Okay.
She looks like she lives just off it. I'm guessing she's an Instagram model, but apart from that, I don't think there's anything else that she does like career-wise. So there is also, I guess, a way for people to leave off just modeling and being a beauty queen.
I'm pretty sure there is. I'm pretty sure there is, but it's not, what I'm trying to say is like it's not sustainable in Namibia. It's not something that you can say that, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. Because remember, like you're selling your looks and at some point that's going to run out. So if it's something that you really want to pursue, maybe outside of the country, if you feel like that's something that's going to pay you well outside of Namibia, but definitely Namibia does not have the capacity for it.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Let me take you back. So
Why?
the year is 2019. My friend T.K and I, somewhere in Jersey, relaxing at Ikokwezi, drinking a 3% Coke. And you back home partook in Miss Namibia. Okay, my inner mean me is forcing me to say you lost, but you were the first runner-up. So first runner-up is like the first princess, right?
Yeah, the first princess.
So if something happens and the person cannot
fulfill their
duties, then you get the
Yeah.
Cool. So how did that make you feel? Because that's like one of the biggest stages in the country when it comes to pageants and whatnot. How did that make you feel? Because like you were this close.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to be biased or anything. And I'm also not trying to be nice to you. I watched it back, né?
Okay.
So the question that they asked was, I'm trying to paraphrase it. They said Namibia's tourism industry in that year, I think the year before, the number of tourists we've got in the country increased from 800K to 1.8 million.
Wow,
And
you really
how
have a
does-
question. Like,
Okay, cool. So how does the increased amount of tourists and visitors to the country affect the flora and fauna and the ecosystem on Namibia at large? There was one girl who was in the top 5. I don't want to mention her name. She's also influencer on Instagram. Like she choked and she said something in the lines of. And this is where I'm like, this thing is actually not as easy as we think it is.
It's not.
Yeah. So she answered the question and she said something in the lines, yeah, the tourists come to Namibia and then they pluck the leaves of the welwitschia and for a minute there I died. But yeah, and there was a lot of choking. And then this is where I say I'm not going to be biased. You were the only one in the top 5 who answered, like you were like, I don't know, well prepared in a way. The way you answered your question was precise. You made something that made sense. You spoke about about policies and whatnot. And the lady who won, well, she had an in-depth answer. She gave a lot of examples, but she was choking the way she was speaking. So, yeah, how did it make you feel that you were this close and you were that good actually?
You know, when I did, let me just take you back. When I did Miss Namibia 2019, I remember I was in the surgical rotation. And then I had to make a decision because I was like my final year of medical school. I had to make a decision to, quit medicine for like a month and just like not show up and then show up the next month to complete my surgical rotation. So like at that point I was like so stressed. I don't think I really wanted to win, number one, because I was in my final year. And really, like, I was just trying to, like, do this thing that I really love, but at the same time, like, I need to get this degree so that I have, something, I have the paper. So I was really, like, I was basically saying that when I entered Miss Namibia 2019, my aim wasn't to win. It was, and I was actually surprised I've made it so far to, like, the top 3 because it wasn't my intention. I did it because I wanted to and because it was fun. And the main reason was I was in my final year. I wanted to get my degree. I didn't want this to sort of be a distraction and then put me behind because then I'll have to prepare for Miss Universe. I'll have to take a gap year and then all of that. And that would be like another year without an actual degree. So my intention wasn't to win Miss Namibia. And then when I was the first runner-up, it was a great achievement for me. I was like, okay, there's potential here. There's something that I can do. I then learned from that experience that I have really like good public speaking skills. I'm not afraid of crowds. And I really also like throughout my entire life, I found my confidence very early on. And just being on the platform really allowed me to just fully immerse myself into the pageant world. So
what would have happened if you had won?
If I'd won?
Yeah.
That means that I would have to put my studies on hold, like for real.
At the back of your mind, were you willing to do that?
I was willing to do it. My mother wasn't willing to do it or allow me to do it. Yeah, so I was willing to do it because I obviously love pageants. But sometimes you just kind of have to weigh the options and then see for yourself. Yeah.
So now, so don't you think the fact that you didn't win, but you got this close, is what kind of pushed you to do the supernatural? Because you were like, if I could
Supranational.
No,
say it with me. Supranational. You're such a Vambo says supernatural.
We are not doing that on camera.
Supranational.
Supranational. Are you happy?
Okay, I'm happy.
All right, cool.
Thank
you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, cool. So now I'm going to be mean. Now I'm going to be mean. But yeah, as I was saying, so don't you think that the fact or the idea that was playing in your mind that you got that close kind of propelled you and pushed you to say, I can really do this thing and go all the way and win. And then that's how you ended up doing Miss Supranational.
Much better. Anyways, yes. Of course, like, there's this really nice saying that this queen said, and she was like, on your journey to success, know that you're never denied, but you're always redirected.
Okay.
So Miss Namibia, Miss Universe, that wasn't for me. But Miss Supra, that was for me. I ended up winning the crown, which is like really important. So everything that you do really in life, like if you don't get it or you're this close and you're like, oh, ndarirwa, yeah, I should have won, what. You know, it's supposed to build momentum for you so that you can structure yourself in such a way that, okay, where do I go next? What is this teaching me? So yeah, that's a
Great.
very good learning moment for me.
So your win is supranational. How was the experience throughout? I mean, your crown is coming to an end very soon. Next week, I think.
Next week, Saturday. It's
Next week.
exactly a week, yeah.
Yeah. So it's coming to an end. How has the journey and the experience been so far?
It was so interesting. It was, for the most part, it was difficult. It was quite hard. Again, when I did Miss Supra, I was at the end of my internship. So a big sacrifice had to be made. I couldn't be in the hospital seeing patients and running, and I was in the north, so I would have to fly in, take an Intercape bus out to the north, like over the weekends, so that I'm able to attend the workshops. And this just goes back to what you're saying, that there's a lot of work that happens behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So I'll give you an example of like a very typical day that I've had. So I would be at work. I would be at work at until 5 o'clock. I knock off. And then at that point, I'd already packed my bags. I just go home, I pick up my bags, I go to the Intercape. I get an Intercape that Friday. I arrive in Windhoek like maybe at 5 a.m. in the morning. I sleep for like an hour, 30 minutes. I need to get up at least by 6:30 so that I can do my hair, my makeup for a workshop.
Damn.
So the workshop is like all day Saturday and all day Sunday. And then at the end of the workshop on Sunday, I have to take another Intercape in the afternoon back to the north. And then arrive in the north at around 5, 6, and then report for work at 8 o'clock. So that was like hectic. So sometimes I would fly in from the north to here, or I'd fly out, make sure that I'm at, at least in Ondangwa by like 8 a.m. And then by 9, because I'm in OPD, I start at 9 o'clock. But it was actually, it was hectic. And I really if there's one thing that I know that I really worked so hard for and I sacrificed every single thing, it's this title, like Miss Supranational. I went all out because I was just like, what will happen if I really put all of my hard work and effort into something? So it was an experience, and winning the crown, it was just like that reassurance of like, okay, so if I put my mind to something, if I work really hard, if I commit myself, if I sacrifice, I can actually do it. And then the journey to the international competition, that was like, something out of this world. The good thing about Miss Supra is that my team, the organizing team, they're so supportive. My national director, Velem, sometimes would just be like, okay, on Friday, I'm going to pick you up, or like, we're going to meet at the airport, we're leaving. And I don't know any other details, because then he would plan out everything, where we're going, what we're going to do, like everything is taken care of, instead of me having to look for funds and stuff like that. But it was difficult. It was great. I met so many people. I've learned so much. I've grown. I've made mistakes. I've done really things that I'm proud of. But the most important thing is that I had a team behind me. I had people really rooting for me. So it was a great experience, really.
But then, what are some of the sacrifices in terms of your personal life that you have to make because of this crown and title? In terms of like relationships with your friends, family. Let's say there's a family gathering, someone's birthday, which you couldn't pitch up because you had another engagement. I'm sure you had a few sacrifices you had to make.
Yeah, absolutely. And already I'm a doctor, so like those sacrifices, I sacrificed that a long time ago. Okay. Already the career that I'm in does not allow me to really have personal relationships, and even other relationships in my life, they usually just like fall apart because I just don't have the time.
Other relationships.
Yeah,
other relationships.
Just relationships in life, Anani.
Okay.
Don't ask me about.
All right.
Fair enough. About other relationships. Okay. So like it's difficult to keep up even with myself, and it's difficult to explain to somebody else, and they're like, oh no, I'll keep up, I can do this. You're just like, I know, like, you're saying this now, but you can't keep up. Like it's too much for me, and you're gonna get exhausted, I'm gonna get exhausted. So a lot of like friendships that had to sort of like die, and family commitments and all of that, but it was worth it. It's growth. That's what you do. You're adult.
Cool. My last question on this, I want us to move away from the modeling because again, the main reason why I wanted us to get you on the podcast is because of the things you're doing. Well, some of them obviously now with the assistance of your crown and the position you're in,
Yeah.
and also like you being a doctor, I want us to move into that space. But
Okay.
do you think there's some sort of racism when it comes to modeling, especially in Namibia, where white women in general are more preferred over the blacks, even in terms of the perks that you get when you win a certain pageant? Do you think it's a thing?
Why are you asking me this question?
It's a general
That's
question.
a general question.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know.
You don't know.
Honestly, like I cannot say from that point of view there's any kind of racism that happens. I do know now as a pageant queen and as I'm judging the current candidates for the crown, what you actually need, and what at least the fundamentals, the foundation of what you should actually be before you get the crown. And a lot of the times, maybe I don't know. I really can't say that if there's some sort of racism that happens or anything like that. But I just know that you must have a lot of grit and you must have a lot of support in terms of just like your family needs to come together and really just help you push through the rest of the year.
But now, do you feel like there's like a stigma around modeling when it comes to our thick hands, chubby hands, and short girls, like our short queens, where they don't really stand a chance, or I don't even know what the requirements of Miss Namibia are, but you can see when you watch the pageant, it's like they same WhatsApp group. You get it?
Yeah.
You know, there's no our thick hands in the pageants,
Yeah.
and also like all of them are of a certain height. Is that like a like a requirement?
I think also what is taken into consideration for the most part is internationally how the candidate will do on an international platform.
Okay.
You understand? So certain international pageants do not necessarily, I don't say will not necessarily accept a candidate that is thicker, fuller, more African looking, instead of just that tall, slender, slick look that is more preferred as a pageant queen. You know, some of these things.
Sorry, my African queens.
Yeah.
The ones with the big nyash.
So, like, you know, some of those things are like, it's something to consider, because, you know, you go international, and I've experienced it, and I would like stand there and I'm standing next to like Philippines and India and Indonesia and Puerto Rico and Venezuela, and like I want to feel confident, you know. And if a candidate already is coming from a country where, you know, these things are not really, you know, pushed for, it becomes extremely difficult.
So that's why when I want to buy you a burger, you're like, no.
Yeah, I want a salad. Only because I'm also like a healthy gal.
Cool. Now, let's move into your current work. Man.
Okay.
Something that I'm really impressed with. The event you organized, Hermosa, Mimosa.
Hermosa, Mimosa.
Hermosa,
What's wrong with
Mimosa.
your... Yes, say it.
Cheese.
Yes.
Hermosa, Mimosa.
Yes.
You know, I have a friend of mine who has this huge crush on you, and because of that, I make fun of him. I call him Hermosa, Mimosa. But anyways, yes. Recently you had Dr. Ndume on one of your events. Tell us, what is Hermosa, Mimosa exactly about?
Okay, so Hermosa, Mimosa, to be honest, like having a position of leadership, or like just being in this position as Miss Supra, I can really just make up anything and make it a thing, because I have the platform. And when I was crowned last year around March, the owner of Skinny Cow and what was known as the collective boutique, Miss Nikita Ricks, she sat me down and she was like, "Oh, wait, you know, you just seem like a very inspirational person, and you have like so much to say. Why don't you use your platform to inspire young women and just bring them together that want to study medicine?" I was like, "That's an excellent idea." So that's how it was born. I got the name. We're flying to Joburg, I think, for my final dress. And I was like, okay, the first part is Hermosa, but I wanted to rhyme with something else. And then the Mimosa part came in. So it was just like, it's a beautiful gathering of women dressed in pink and young ladies that want to study medicine, or they want to be in the career of being a doctor. And then we link them up with people that are already established or on their journey to become doctors. So we usually have great speakers and they're specialists. So we'll have the first edition, we had Dr. Fessy, who's a specialist cardiologist, pediatric, cardiologist actually. And then our second edition, we had Dr. Frederica Shiwether, who's an anesthetist. And then we had Dr. Ndume, and I was just like floored.
And you're like, can this get any
Like
crazier?
it cannot now. I need to get Oprah to come. Who am I coming? Like who follows up after her?
Yeah.
You understand? So it was initially just like a little small event, like I guess maybe 20 people came the first time, and then it started growing when we did it in the north, like more people started coming, and then this particular event we even had to be like, we don't have space.
Yeah.
We don't have space.
Speaking of space, like how do you select who gets to come? Do they apply to, come to the event, or do you select them, like handpick?
Okay, so what we usually do is we send out a notice and we ask like, okay, who's interested in coming to this event? Initially, we didn't want to even have a selection process because we wanted to have it at the UNAM School of Medicine.
Okay.
But that was an entire process that was just really unpleasant altogether. And then we had to go to a smaller venue because we really wanted to accommodate everybody, because we knew that Dr. Ndume is going to come, and it's so important for this girl to just see her, talk to her, listen to her and what she had to say. So it was quite difficult. We this time around, when we had a smaller venue, it was just like they had to pay $50.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because just for the welcoming drink and like the ambiance and the vibes. And then if you pay first, you get a spot, and we have like 50 spots.
So the girls that came to the event are not necessarily people in medicine, like nurses or doctors or student nurses?
Some are actually, there were a few that want to do a career change.
Okay.
There are some that are on main campus studying something else and they want to study medicine, so they want to switch. There are others that are in high school and they want to study medicine, and then also had medical students in there, interns, medical officers, and then the specialist, obviously.
Okay. So in this last event, the one you had in Windhoek, you had 50 guests.
Yeah.
50.
Around 50
do you have
guests.
plans of growing the event to take like 100? Because it's a really great event. Seeing as you have the specialists, and also like the fact that you're really encouraging and helping a lot of young women in Namibia to pursue a career in medicine. Do you have any plans of extending the guest list, the amount of people you can take in?
Absolutely, but yeah, definitely. It's just sometimes, the venues that we usually use, they're sponsored.
Okay.
Yeah, so like Miss Nikita would be like, you're more than welcome to use our venue for free. We're not going to charge you for these things because it's obviously charity, and you're not getting any profit out of it. But the bigger it is, the bigger venue, the more money we're going to have to take from our pockets to fund this thing. But if we get some funding or sponsorship, then we definitely have the capacity to grow, because that's the point, right? You want to have something and you want to grow it.
Oh, hopefully someone watching this podcast will sponsor you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sponsor.
That's good. Love it. And you've also been recently doing a lot of work in the communities. I don't know if you're in Havana or somewhere there.
Somewhere there.
In my hood, maybe in Kurangave there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you were even attempting to speak Oshiwambo, which is
attempting.
Okay, you were speaking Oshiwambo.
Don't try me.
So yes, like how the work you're doing in the community, is this now work that you're doing like on your own as a doctor, or is this work you're doing that comes with your title?
Both. Yes, both. I'm Judita, so I'm Miss Supra, and I'm also a doctor, and that's like how you marry the
Flex.
two. Yeah. Just both. I think it's so beautiful when two of my passions really come together. And like the real message that I really want to send out is to young girls, like, you never ever have to choose. I was put in such a difficult position, like you must choose, either you want to be a pageant queen or you're going to be a doctor. I'm like, but I can do both. I can do both at the same time. Same thing.
And you're making it work, actually.
Yeah, and it's really difficult. I feel like at some point I make it look so easy that people don't really understand the kind of strain that it has on me personally. Yeah. But the same way that a woman can be a mother, can be a wife, and also juggle a career, is the same way that I can be a doctor and a content creator and a makeup artist and a pageant queen all at the same time. So I do it as both, and I love my work as a doctor, and I love that I have a platform to really amplify the need for healthcare in those communities, because it's not something that people really even talk about.
Yeah. And speaking of healthcare, you were doing a lot in that sector. You have a YouTube channel called On your health.
Yeah.
Did I say correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. Finally, you said something correct. Jeez.
So what's the idea behind On Your Health?
Okay, so I'll take you back just a little bit what inspired me. I was in PEDS. I was rotating through PEDS in Oshakati. And then I was on call. So my calls usually start at 5 o'clock. And then they go up until the next day, 8 o'clock. So around 4:30, they start calling me saying that, oh no, there's a patient in casualty that I have to see. And I was like, no, but it's not 5 o'clock yet.
Yeah.
It's not 5. And they're like, no, it's an emergency. We're trying to call everybody else in the department, but their phone is off. So you are coming in at 5. So can you just like, please, if you can come in earlier?
Yeah.
I was like, okay, fine, whatever. Got ready. Got to the hospital as fast as I could. When I got there, it was a child, a little baby that was brought by the mother. And the history is that the child has been having like vomiting and diarrhea for on and off for a couple of weeks. And by the time the mommy brought the baby to the hospital, the child was dehydrated. And like that's the number one thing that kills children, vomiting, diarrhea, and you don't rehydrate the baby, your baby's gonna die. So, there was that baby, and then there was like 2 other emergencies that I had to take care of, like as soon as I landed.
Yeah.
So we're trying to resusc this baby. We're really trying to put up IV lines. The veins are collapsing. Like it was a lot. I called my medical officer. I was like, no, I have a situation in casualty and it's a bit overwhelming. If you could just come. So they came and then the nurses came. So we're there trying to resusc the baby. Like eventually the baby really just died because we couldn't get IV access. And that was like what really inspired me to do this and even my first episode was how to make ORS at home. Mm-hmm. Because a lot of that is something that she could have been giving her child while they're at home or on their way to the hospital. So when they come to the hospital, at least we are able to put in IV access. We can, the child is not in shock. So it really stems from life-saving interventions prior to coming to the hospital, something that you need to know: how to take blood pressure, how to do an HIV test, how to make ORS, what to do when you have a snake bite, how to use your asthma pump, those kinds of things. It's very, very small, critical things. And my videos are not very long. At most, maybe like 5 minutes, but it's very like a comprehensive, you do this and this and this and that. And I'm just using what I have, which is my my YouTube platform to get this message across. But if I could get another platform that could reach a much greater audience or the intended target, then that would be even better.
Well, again, that's why we have you in the podcast.
Because your platform is going to...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I know it is.
It's the marketing. All right, cool. Outside your professional life, you like to do makeup, travel. I saw on your Instagram there's a video of you skydiving.
Yeah.
Is this how you? What's the word I'm looking for? When you're going through stress and whatnot, right? When you wanna just get away from life, is traveling like your go-to thing?
Definitely. Like, there's this saying, my mom always calls me and she's like, "Uno kapadi." Like, you just like to go places. Yeah. I really have a kapadi times 2. I love to travel, and it helps because medicine's exhausting, man. Everybody wants the title to be called doctor, but it really it drains you. You're seeing people die every single day, and people die in your hands, and you walk into a room and there's a dead body, or somebody's really sick and they have problems, and patients really just want to unburden their problems onto you. It's quite exhausting. So I really do love to travel because I just get an opportunity to get away. And when I do, I want to do something extreme like skydive or bungee jump or something like that.
You adrenaline junkie?
Yeah.
Makes sense. All right, cool. So to wrap this up, I don't know if TK, you have a question at this time?
Do you have a question for me, TK?
Before.
Yeah, I can throw in a question.
Okay.
Earlier when I think Nani asked about the Mimosa or what?
Hermosa Mimosa.
Mimosa.
I want you to say it with Hermosa Mimosa.
Okay, yeah. You mentioned something about being on a plane to go and get your dress, something in that line. And I remember a few years back I uproar
Mm-hmm.
where like local designers, I think, complained that
Mm-hmm.
national costume was made by a South African designer
Mm-hmm.
instead of using our own local designers.
Mm-hmm.
So is that like a preference thing? Do you decide who gets to do your dress, or do the designers approach you guys?
Okay.
So how does that work?
Okay, so getting into the Miss Supranational organization, they have people that they've worked with over the years that they know that their work is good and the quality of whatever it is that they produce is really good. The thing that I've also noticed about Namibian designers is they want to be paid. And a lot of the times, the South African designers, even though they want to be paid, for example, in my instance, the lady that did my final gown gave me 2 other gowns for free. You understand? So it's like things like that. There is that
50 combo.
yeah, like there's, there's that relationship established already. I suppose like even right now, like if I were to approach a photographer and be like, do you want to work together so I can have a photo shoot, and then I put your work out there, they say like, yeah, no, exposure doesn't pay my bills, you know. And it's like it's true, like
Yeah.
we get it, but like it's difficult sometimes to get sponsorships and to get money to pay for photo shoots and dresses and all of these things. But if you have a relationship already with somebody, and it's not necessarily because they're South African, you have a relationship with this person, you've worked with them before, you know that the quality of work that they're going to do, especially for our national costumes and for Miss Supra consistently, they've been amazing. Then that's the person that you gravitate towards, as opposed to working with a Namibian designer, and you must now take like 10,000 million out of your pocket, and yeah, that's it. We ended up having like really good relationships with people in South Africa.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay, and also when Ananias introduced you, he
Mhm.
mentioned middle name Kitwe.
Yeah.
Which is quite interesting because I've been to a town called Kitwe.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to find out, is there like a relation between the town and your name, or it's just a coincidence?
It can never be a coincidence because I don't even know what he was thinking naming me Kitwe. But
You
like,
lie.
no, it is a town. It's a town in Zambia actually.
Zambia,
Yeah, it's next to Ndola. It's like one of the second biggest town in
it's
in
in
Zambia.
the Copperbelt province.
Yes, it is a copper belt province. So my dad went to study in Zambia for a bit, in that town specifically.
Oh,
And then he thought it was a good idea to name me Kitwe. So like, you will name your child Vintuk just because of vibes. Like, make it make sense, please. But yeah, I was named after the town.
okay.
Yeah,
That's nice.
I was named after the town. No, this is not ammunition for you.
Just
This,
it's a light question. So the Kitwe, is this where you just change it to Kiki?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
because like when I was little, they call me Kiki.
Okay.
Yeah, so it makes sense. I'm not like hot boy Pakamish, Anani8.0 and
You
You
see
understand?
this?
Like, it has to make sense and come from something.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So we have on the podcast a game we play called Cap or No Cap.
Okay.
Before we play the game, I just want to ask, seeing as that your title and crown is coming to an end, sadly so for you at least, what now? What now? What from here? I mean, you're still Dr. Kiki, so that's a plus. But what now with regard to where from here? What are your future plans? What are you gonna do after this is all said and done? And you have to give the crown to the next beautiful girl out there. Not that you're beautiful.
Daddy. Okay, so like, I mean, it's a good thing I have a degree to fall back on, to continue. I think also like my days of doing pageants is over. I'm 27. Like, at this age we're like fossils in the not like you're a dinosaur. Like, why are you still modding? So
Oh, I thought you're still gonna attempt for Miss Namibia.
Oh, why was I attempt again?
Second time's a charm.
Then you don't play with me.
I take it back.
So like I have to focus on my career now as a
Okay.
doctor. Like that's a line of thought that I'm going into. I need to focus. I want to specialize. I want to have my own clinic. There's just so many things that I want to do with my degree that is not just like, go to work at 8, knock off at 5, go to work at 8, knock off at 5. Like, I've always been I want to be more active. I want to just grow my YouTube channel. I want to do a lot of other community work in the communities.
Okay, again, I was about to end this, but you mentioned a clinic.
Yeah.
In one of your videos, I saw you got some sort of a sponsorship for a mobile clinic.
Yeah.
How's it going to work out, or what's that about?
Okay, so at the beginning of my crowning, my national director asked me, like, what's your biggest dream? What is the thing that you want to achieve with this crown? I was like, oh no. Seeing that I'm a doctor, I think it's so important for us to take healthcare to the people. So having a mobile clinic in the last village for me is a dream that will really allow me to make tangible change. Not just go to a soup kitchen, take pictures with the kids, and then go back home, or like drop off sanitary pads somewhere and go back home. I really want there to be something proud that I could look back on. Something substantial. And, we had discussions about the mobile clinic, and over the last year when I was, Miss Supra, things didn't quite plan out the way that I thought they would. So at the Hermosa Mimosa, one of my biggest sponsors that we're really like in talks with about this said that this is something that we're willing to do. We're offering you this opportunity and we're willing to fund it. So yeah, it's something that is in the works, and I really, really hope it comes to pass because I really want it.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
from the No Cap podcast, we hope it does, and congratulations on that. And
Thanks.
I for one am proud.
Are you proud?
The first and last time I ever
Are you proud?
Yes. Okay, cool. Let's play the game. So the game is called Cap or No Cap. I'll make a statement. It could be true or it could be false.
So cap means that it's true.
Cap means it's a lie.
It's a lie.
Yeah.
No cap is like it's true.
Yeah, no cap
Some
is true.
2000 lingo.
Yeah, I'm a 2000. We're trying to get I'm a 2000. So yes, so no cap, it's true. Cap is a lie.
I don't have any other option to be like pass.
Nope. No. It's just the two. So if I say you didn't deserve to get first runner up Miss Namibia, if you feel like you deserve, then you say cap. If you believe what I'm saying is true, then you say no cap.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay.
All right, so here we go. You ready?
And also, just before you start, it's a quick fire question, right?
Okay.
So we don't want you really thinking about the answer. Yeah.
Okay.
So the first thing that comes to your mind.
I try to use 3 of my brain cells.
They can't cancel you anymore. It's China must. You come to the end.
Like I'm already cancelled. Like generally. Yeah. Okay. Fine.
All right, cool.
Okay.
As far as modeling and beauty pageant is concerned, Miriam Kohobona is number 1 at representing Namibia.
Cap.
Okay. Why do you say like so like that? It's just it's happening. Okay. All right, cool. At Miss Supra National 2022, the ladies you were up didn't stand a chance. You were up against didn't stand a chance.
Cap.
Okay.
Cap.
Yeah. Oh, I think I asked this already somewhat, but in Namibia, white girls get more preference when it comes to modeling than the black girls in the industry.
I think cap.
Support, especially in terms of sponsorship, is very little when it comes to modeling.
Yeah. No cap.
Namibian doctors that didn't have enough points in grade 12 to get into the UNAM School of Medicine and had to study abroad in countries like Russia are not as proficient as locally trained doctors.
No cap.
Did you say no cap? Okay.
Nani. Stop.
Doctors in Namibia are underpaid.
Oh, no cap. Ugh.
The nurses, the work the nurses do is just as equally important as the work performed by doctors.
Yeah, no cap.
Right, cool. Obese girls in Namibia do stand zero chance of making a successful career out of modeling.
No cap.
Okay.
Definitely.
The doctors' training program or internship program in Namibia is not working at all.
Cap.
Okay. All right. Last but not least, you strongly believe that the government can make all public hospitals to be just as good as the private ones.
No cap.
No cap. All right, cool. Yeah, that's it.
That's it?
Wasn't so bad, right?
Yeah, no, it wasn't bad.
So-
But also you.
Yeah.
Your colleagues are gonna come after you.
But That is such a. It's a. Can I explain?
No,
I can't explain.
you can't. It's like this is where perception has to work. Like people just based on what you said, they take it how they take it.
Okay.
Yeah. Again, it's a game. Yeah. So yeah, that was that.
That was that.
Yeah. Thank you very much for making the time. I know you're very busy.
I am very busy actually. So this was like really like time out of my busy schedule, and I just feel like you should feel so privileged.
Okay, before I start feeling privileged, TK or something.
Yeah, actually, to give you benefit of the doubt, because your colleagues might just start beefing you. Yeah, so maybe you can just explain why you said that.
Why I said okay.
Well, TK is nice. I'm not so.
Yeah, TK is a nicer person. It's not more so as like being efficient. It's just exposure, because we've had like various and in-depth conversation about like what's going on. We've all trained the 6 years, but like the level of or the quality of service that we offer is a bit different, and we have an advantage because already from your second year, you're thrown in the hospital and you must see patients. And for some, and the conversations that I've had with some of my colleagues is that some patients don't even want to be touched by like black people over there, or like you don't really have clinical exposure, and the exposure you only get when you come back home for holidays. And when you do come back for holidays and you're spending time with your family and you don't use that time to be in the hospital, then by the time that you're done, it becomes it's difficult to pick up from somebody who's been training in the hospital since second year and someone who's starting for the very first time in their first year of internship. Like it's not the same. But like with hard work, like you really do see that like if you're determined, you're in the hospital the whole time, you're willing to learn, you're not proud and you're just like, I'm a doctor, what.
Yeah.
Like they pick up and they do quite well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Thank you, TK. Unlike someone.
Thank you
well, yeah.
for clearing that out.
I just it's nice to create a bit of tension and beef. I just like to throw that one in there.
Yeah, no, this is what you live for.
Yep. Again, thank you very much for making the time. Like I said, I know you're very busy, and we really appreciate. I don't know if this turned out to be how you expected, but yeah, thank you very much for being on the No Care podcast.
Thank you so much. I think this is one of those interviews where I was like reading myself, and I wasn't
That's
like,
the whole point.
yes, and then the answer is to like it's just super chill.
Yeah, we don't like scripted things, and that's why we don't want to give anyone the questions before, because we want you to just say what's on your mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you believe that locally Namibian trained, okay, I'm not gonna go there.
Okay.
Yes. All right. This is the end of the No Care podcast. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment, and we will leave the link to Dr. Kiki's YouTube channel, Instagram, and the Hermosa Mimosa. Does it have a separate page?
No, it doesn't. But Own Your Health has a Instagram page.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So put in all the links to that and contact details if someone wants to maybe slide in your DM for sponsorship. Okay.
This guy.
All right.